Welcome to If It Doesn't Feed You, Don't Water It, a wellness podcast for women of color. My name is Nayamka Smith, and I am many things, but today I am your host. This topic, the topic of making yourself your own beauty standard, has been buzzing and circulating in my brain for a very long time. As always, I'm going to give you my own personal connection to the topic and why I even want to talk about this in the first place, and then give you some tangible tips for making yourself your beauty standard. First thing I want to know is that I have always grown up very confident. I was very thin. I was dark skinned. I feel like I'm brown, medium now, but medium brown didn't exist in like the 90s and early 2000s. It was just dark or light, and I was dark. I was outside in the sun, I was darker. My hair was also kinkier, but I had the women in my family to look up to who I looked exactly like, and they were women who I always believed were beautiful. I mean, I think that they are without question beautiful, but like I'm saying, like to me, I saw them as the beauty standard. So because I look like them, that always made me feel proud of what I look like, no matter what the situation was. I grew up, my hometown had a decent amount of black people in it, but I would say it was still like 60, 70% white. And a lot of my friends growing up were white too. So I understand what it's like to be in an environment where people don't necessarily look like you, or your friends don't look like you. You can't do the same things with your hair. You may have to explain away like braids or a bonnet or whatever it is. Like, I understand what it's like to be the one person in the room who looks different. But I always saw my different as a positive thing. I think this is just my personality, but I've never shied away from attention. I think that I just get attention easily, but it also doesn't bother me that I have it. I'm not like afraid of it. I don't run away from it. I'm just like, okay, attention. People are looking at me. Okay, people want to hear what I have to say. While I do understand that there is a fear that other people have of being the person that is different, I think that there's a lot of power in it if you know how to utilize it or wield it or remind yourself of how valuable different is, right? The way I like to think of just differences and the value of differences in general is one person. I'm only one person, right? I can only see this room. What if this room was my life experience? And the items in the room, the wall color, the ceiling height, this is all I know, and I am hypothetically tasked to build another room. It would only behoove me to have people on my team, to contact people, to know people who grew up in different rooms. That only makes me smarter, and it makes whatever room we would build together that much better than a room that I could build by myself or that they could build by themselves. So even before like DEI was a important thing, I have always really felt that being different didn't mean that you had to be excluded. Being different didn't mean that you had to be ostracized. Being different meant that you added more value to the group. Even when I went to school for aesthetics when I was in my early 20s, again, I was the only black girl there. And I've said this before, but I was probably like the third black girl to have ever gone to that aesthetic school. And I knew that my presence there made all the estheticians around me better, because I know that there's a huge gap in information about dark skin, from dark skinned people having misinformation, but also light skin or white people or any other people having that misinformation as well. I would remember thinking growing up, and again, I am aware that this is probably slightly problematic, but at the time, this was my thought process, and this is what I used to get me through, was that if I am going to be the only black person that these people interact with today, I I'm going to be my best self. And if I have to represent my race or myself as a woman or whatever it is, like I can do that because I am comfortable with who I am, with how I look, with how I talk, with everything, right? Because I curated in my brain that I am the standard. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily look down on the way other people do things or the way other people dress or the way other people look or the way other people present themselves. It just means that I curate what I believe to be beautiful around me. And I think that that is an incredibly healthy way to go about it. I think that's like the only way to survive in a environment that is multicultural, in an environment that is going to have a lot of people who are different from you, who are have different experiences, who will have different color hair, different color eyes, different heights, different weights, different body composition, different piercings, different tattoos. Like I genuinely don't know how you could survive or show up as your best self in those type of environments when you don't see yourself as a standard, truthfully. Because then otherwise, those differences that you see in other people, someone's beautiful red hair, someone's beautiful tallness is going to make you feel not worthy instead of saying like they're tall and it's stunning, but I love being short regardless, and seeing like the beauty in what you have to offer. So for me, my beauty standard is brown skin across the board. I almost always think brown skin looks better. And again, it's no offense to anyone. I just love brown skin because I have brainwashed myself to see the beauty in brown skin. I've even looked to communities like in India, and they have gorgeous, stunning, deep brown skin. And while they are not necessarily treated well in their country for their brown skin, or just in general in Asia, like brown skin is discriminated against, their beauty is inherent. Like the way that the sun glimmers off of brown skin, the way the gold sits on their skin, that is like very cultural to them, the way their bright colors contrast their skin. This is also in Africa, especially Nigeria, where they wear a lot of bright colors. I have gone out of my way to seek that in order to make sure that I don't even know if brainwashing myself is right, but in order to counter the images that we experience here in America, in the West, where brown skin is othered, where brown skin is not seen as desirable or whatever. I don't I don't know that world, truthfully. I know that like it exists around me, but like in my eyes and in my brain and who I'm around and the life that I live, brown skin is here, is here. Now, the other elements growing up that I think I, again, had to brainwash or counter brainwash myself in regards to were my thinness and my hair texture. I need to caveat this and say that I 100,000,000,000,000,000% understand that what any thin person goes through in terms of like messaging, bullying, feeling, however, is not comparable to fat phobia and is not comparable to what it's like to live inside a bigger body. It's not. But it does come with experiences that you have to actively work against, and experiences that could leave marks on you for a lifetime. Now, for me, it's not only just being thin, but I also don't have wide hips. And for a Black woman, that is not a desirable body type. I was never ostracized about eating more or whatever from the women in my family because they were also very thin, but I have found that other Black thin women feel ostracized from the older women community, and as well from men. The amount of comments that I have received about looking like a boy, looking like a child, or having your body made fun of by proxy of white people. Because, like, when we say things, I remember there's like a old tweet. It was saying how like Taylor Swift was built like long back, like just general long back jokes. And black women are being made fun of it by proxy by saying that you look white. But not in the way that people like, which is like lighter skin. Like, you look white in the worst way. You look white in the thin, skinny way. You look gross. And I remember vividly when I was 16, Rihanna's Umbrella video came out. And Rihanna is built very similar to me. She's tall, but she is not very hipsy. She's kind of straight up and down. She doesn't really have like a big butt. And I remember watching the Umbrella video thinking, I can be sexy and skinny at the same time. Because up until that point, I didn't see that it was possible to be in a black body, a thin black body, and be sexy. It just wasn't something that anybody around me in media, in music, in magazines, on TV ever expressed as desirable. So I think the first thing in creating a world where you are the standard is to find idols, or to find celebrity, or to find prominent people in the media who look like the thing that you feel insecure about. For me, it was narrow hips. So it was narrow hips and dark skin. So I did two things, especially on social media. I followed nearly every single person who had a body type similar to mine. Thin, fit-ish looking, narrow hips. Very important, because I have always been and still am insecure about not having wide hips. So I made sure that the images that I would see, the people who I thought were beautiful, the people who I thought were cool, living cool lives, doing cool stuff, those people look like me. And if you're dark skinned, you literally have to follow dark skin creators, models, actors, literally anyone, everyone who looks like you. And also limit the people you follow who don't look like you. And I know that's not great, but you're trying to brainwash yourself. Like, you have a specific task here. It's not to be discriminatory, it is specifically to open your eyes and to stay focused and to reprogram your brain into making sure that you are seeing images that are positive of people who look like you. And again, like I said, when I mentioned always looking at images of darker skinned women in India, sometimes you have to go outside of your environment, because our environments are not always conducive to building up our self-esteem. I remember I saw a TikTok of a girl once, and she had just moved from Miami to New York, or vice versa. No, she moved from North Carolina to Miami. And she was like, wait, this whole time I was beautiful? I just had to be in Miami? Yes. Yes. You just had to move your frame of reference. And that doesn't necessarily always mean physically picking up and moving. But for example, the example that I've always used, if you have scars, right? And if you are embarrassed of your scars, you have to actively Google, seek out documentaries, books, whatever, movies, whatever it is. Seek out people, cultures who use scarification as a way to show their beauty, to show their culture, to show what they've been through. It just gives you a different perspective that you can add to your brain, add to your arsenal, that when someone makes a negative comment, you have a positive thought or a positive comment in your own mind to counter it. That way, it doesn't actually permeate your brain and your space and lessens the effect on your self-esteem. Human civilization has been around for like a really long time, right? Like, there is a culture, there is a community that upholds your image. And it's not fair that some of us have to work hard to find it, but the work that we do to find it and to make sure that, again, we are making ourselves a standard is 1,000% worth it. Now, every time my body changes, I seek out influencers who have similar body types. When I gained weight, not only did I seek out more like body positive influencers that affirmed how I felt about myself or how I wanted to feel about myself, but I also made sure I was matching their body type to mine. So I not only like you need to see how people dress, how people carry themselves, how people aren't shrinking and aren't hiding. And this isn't necessarily just like a PSA for like representation matters. It's more of a PSA for like be the steward of your own representation. You know, like make sure you make an effort to seek out those beauty standards. I've seen a lot of I think it's an issue. I've always grown up very confident, and I attribute it to looking like my mom and my aunt and my cousins, who always wore their natural hair, who are deep skin tone like mine, who are short like me, who are built like me. So I always had a frame of reference for what was beautiful, what was desirable, and it was me. And again, I've also done the work to seek that out, right? I've seeked it out on Instagram. I seek it out in real life. Um, I seek it out with the people in media who I look up to, right? But also, I genuinely don't focus on the images of Black womanness that like don't speak to me. Like, for example, like I'm not a wig girly. I'm not really like a extension girly either. Like if I have like clip-ins, extensions, weave, wig, whatever, it's still gonna look like Black girl hair. It's still gonna look textured. It's never gonna look like it couldn't have possibly grown out of my own head, right? Because that's what I like. I don't ever want to look like anything else. And this is not a critique because the wig girlies be serving looks. It's not a critique, but like I want to look like me as much as possible because of how deeply I've brainwashed myself. I brainwashed myself to the point that when my body changed, it took me forever. It took not forever, but it took me a long time, longer than I would have hoped to adjust because I only had one image in my brain of what I looked like. It was everyone that I followed. I was just like, damn, now I have to adjust. How do I adjust? And it's been a transition and it's been hard, but it really proved how well I did my brainwashing. I'm like, damn, I did a very, very good job at this, that I only have this image to look at. When I was at my biggest, my mom and I were actually the same exact like weight, height, size, everything. And we could share clothes. And the ability to share clothes with her, that we were like actually finally like the same size, was so cool and so healing in a way that like was actually very surprising for me. I didn't expect that. So again, honestly, even in maybe the friends that you're making, I think that it's that important, um that you're seeking out in every possible avenue and opportunity people that look like you, if you're still in your brainwashing phase. Now, if you're still feeling unsure about yourself or how you look, or you're not really sure what parts of yourself to love or what parts of yourself that you are particularly insecure about or want to highlight or whatever, my second recommendation is to look well, stare at yourself in the mirror, just look or just start noticing um the things that you love about yourself, little things, big things, whatever it is. It could be your nose, it could be how your side profile looks, it could be the shape of your eyes, it could be as specific as the shape of your eyes when you look down, because I happen to really like the shape of my eyes when I look down. It could be like I'm talking about your hairline, the shape of your toes, your nail beds, like how long your legs are, your torso to leg ratio, like your collarbone. Get detailed. Look at every single the arch in your eyebrow you could like any single detail about yourself. Find it and start studying it and study ways to enhance it. That way, when you go out into the world, right? So, like, if the example is, say that the things that you've decided that you're going to really shine about yourself are your eyes, your nail beds, or like the shape of your nails and your collarbone, right? Moisturize the hell out of that collarbone. Wear strapless shirts. Really play with like different color mascara or eyeliner or anything that will like enhance your eye. Wear, stop wearing nail extensions if you've come to realize that you like your nails in the shape of your nail bed. Like, it really has to come from you first, and then you can layer and amplify those things specifically. And the more that you start noticing the things that you love about yourself, and the more that you start enhancing them, maybe with makeup or without makeup or moisturizing or skincare or clothes or whatever it is, you start to then attract people to you who also love those things. So, like, now you're getting outside positive affirmations for the things that you love, right? Say, hypothetically, you are tall, you grew up in a short family, and you felt insecure about your height. But since listening to this, you're going to try and embrace your legs more, for example. You go out, you wear a high slit skirt because you're like, you know what? I'm going to be the tall girl, period. I don't care. I don't give a fuck. The people you attract and the people who are going to be like, oh my God, I love your dress. Oh my God, girl, look at your legs. Oh, that's fuel. That's what you need. Like, it sometimes starts with you leaning into the things for you to realize that there are people out there who love what you have to offer, who love the things that you are or the things that you thought you were insecure about because the environment that you were in, again, wasn't conducive necessarily to your self-esteem. We often say that, oh, society likes this, society likes that, forgetting that we actually are society and we have control over what we deem beautiful. You have control over what is deemed beautiful. You can create your safe pocket, your little bubble of people who love, value, prioritize XYZ. Long legs, dark skin, kinky hair, monolids, big eyes, small lips, big noses, literally anything and everything. The world is 8 billion people deep. Societies, humans have been around for thousands of years. I don't know exactly how long. The people who are looking for exactly what you look like, chubby, tall, thin, brown, dark skin, freckles, anything, everything, they exist. And I really want to encourage you to seek them out, to find them, to do your Googles, to follow, to research. You need to fill your brain with that knowledge because that knowledge provides cushion, it provides support, it provides a counter, a block for the negative comments or just negative thoughts that may come up when we're in spaces where people don't look like us. Just this week, I've seen 3 different TikToks slash reels of different women, all of South Asian descent, saying that they didn't feel beautiful either growing up or that like they thought that they were ugly because they grew up around all white people. Or this one girl, she said that she didn't think that any South Asian woman was anyone's dream girl. And all these girls are stunning, like gorgeous brown skin, gorgeous thick luscious hair, like Disney princess eyes, like beautiful. And they're sitting here thinking that they're not because of the people that they're around. When you don't think highly of yourself, it makes you make decisions that aren't conducive to living like your best life, which is why I am on this high horse. I'm on my soapbox about making yourself the beauty standard. Because when you think that you are the most beautiful, then you start to believe that you deserve the best things. And I don't like that there's that correlation, right? That like only the most beautiful deserves the best things. I don't think that that is true. But I do see in real time and in real life that people make those correlations. And if you are making that correlation, then make yourself the best Make yourself the one, make yourself the standard. Therefore, you can give yourself permission to have the best things. The last thing I want to say is that when you believe in your own hotness, you can trick other people into also believing that you are hot. I'm going to say trick loosely, but you can convince other people that you are not even convinced, like actively convinced, like it's not like a sales pitch, but there are some people who are beautiful, who are magnetic, who are stunning because they believe it about themselves, not because they have character traits that are outside of that context necessarily the greatest, best, whatever. But they believe it about themselves. So that image of themselves reflects outward. It reflects how they carry themselves, and people are attracted to that. That is what's magnetic about people. And I've seen it time and time and time again, the way you put yourself together, the way you stand up straight, the way you emphasize the things that you love about yourself. When you laugh without covering your mouth, when you don't cover or hide yourself, right? It allows you to be fuller, more bright, more effervescent, and then those who are attracted to that light will come to you. Now, and if you are a dark skinned woman like me, perhaps darker, even if you're not black, different ethnicities, I'm going to rattle off a whole list of dark skinned people, black men and women, who I follow, who I've always followed, who I think are just gorgeous, stunning representations of what it means to be dark skinned. Because I find that in my community, communities of color, that is one of the biggest pain points that we have that prevents us from seeing our own beauty. And I need you to start seeing it. The list goes as follows. Again, I don't care if you are fans of these people or not, but you need to follow them in order to brainwash yourself properly. This is part of my brainwashing. This is the most complete list of brainwashing dark skinned, beautiful black people that I can provide for you. Naomi Campbell, Nima Tang, Ayok Akai, Alton Mason, Purple Alpaca on Instagram, Ryan Destiny, Justine Sky, Kelly Rowland, Aaliyah's Interlude, Shea Butters, Coco Jones, Suku Kenya, again on Instagram, Kim Chadar on Instagram, and Lenny GD on Instagram. Now, I wish I could make a list of every group of celebrities and influencers that would show you or prove to you that whatever you are insecure about, that there are people out there who that is their favorite thing about them, and other people love them for those very specific things as well. But I can't, because that's not possible. So I hope you take this as inspiration to really go out there and make yourself your beauty standard. Create your own beauty universe around yourself. Seek out influencers, celebrities, models, actors, friends, family, chosen family that prove to you and properly brainwash you into believing that you are stunning. Thank you for listening to If It Doesn't Feed You, Don't Water It, a wellness podcast for women of color. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, rate, review, favorite, follow, and all of the things, because I think these conversations are very important and I want as many people who need them to hear them. See you next time.